Welcome back to Property Playbook. I'm your host, Elena Sarditas, and today I have Amy Flowers with me. She is the #1 agent in Milton, and we're talking all things real estate and real estate trends.
Thank you for having me here. It's an honor.
Well, why don't we, my God, I can't speak anymore. Why don't we dive in with the first topic of what is happening in your market? Are you seeing multiple offers again? How are the listings going? Are people doing showings? Are open houses busy? What's going on?
Well, as of today, we are starting to see a really big indicator that things are very similar to the way they were last year. So what I mean by that is, yeah, we had a little lull for the fall. That's fine. And we did this year too. But then now we're starting to see showings pick up, activities picked up. And the stuff that is the smaller, maybe townhouses, semi-detached, they're getting multiple offers. All of them are. So I anticipate for next year, how about this? What are things happening? I'm trying to do more conversation. So what is happening here? Are you seeing the same type of things?
So it depends on the market because Toronto has a bunch of micro markets within it.
Yeah.
So what I'm noticing is the condo market's completely dead.
Same.
It's going to take a lot for that market to pick back up again.
Yeah.
The nicest things, it has to be the nicest, shiniest, and well-priced thing on the market for it to actually move. Yeah. If not, you're looking at racking up a bunch of days on the market. What I have noticed a pickup in is anything priced between that 1 million mark to 1.5. And I think that also has to do with the new incentives that they've put in place that start December 15th.
Yes. Are you seeing that a lot of people are holding off on their search to wait for that date?
Well, my own personal clients are not, because what I've been telling everyone is buy with today's purchase price and close with tomorrow's interest rate, get tomorrow's incentives, get all of the benefits of closing tomorrow, but get today's price.
And I feel like we're exhausted in saying the same thing over and over again. It's no, everybody else is waiting. You don't need to wait because you can buy now and then close after the 15th. As long as you close after the 15th, you're going to be able to get that.
100%.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the conversations have been that I've had with my clients. Anything over that 1.5 mark still feels like pulling teeth.
Okay. So in that, we saw similarities to that last year where, yes, it starts in the lower end and then it trickles up. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you're going to see that come 2025?
So I think in 2025, the condo market will still be dead. Mm-hmm. I think the house market, anything below 1.5 is going to be hot.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that more good inventory hits the market because there is inventory.
Yeah.
Like if I pull up listings right now, there is inventory, but they don't show the greatest. And people have a hard time understanding that the house, if you paint it, will look so different than the house's current condition. If you staged it, it would look so different. Mm-hmm. And sometimes staging it, rose-colored glasses, they'll end up going for a house that actually has no functional layout.
Right.
So the market is going to move. Things will come to market. I do think we're going to have an early spring market. Mm-hmm. Are you noticing that too?
100%. I find through my career, I've seen twice where our spring market started in December. And I've said it this year a few times. I'm like, you know what? There's a possibility that we actually might see a spring market starting towards the end of December. And my team members are like, what are you talking? It's Christmas. How is that even possible? It's happened. I've seen it happen in 2007. I've seen it happen in 2016. It has happened.
The funny thing is I said that at my team meeting last week. I was like, I think January, February is actually going to be early spring market.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, are you sure? And I'm like, look, as long as the snow doesn't get too high and people want to see real estate, people will see real estate.
Think about it though. The market in 2024 has been so tired. It's been, there's a huge pent up demand. So when it's been pent up for that long, they're going to come out and they're going to come out in droves, those buyers, and they're going to start in January. And what's going to happen, which happens every year, they're going to start in January and they're going to look around and be like, there's nothing available for sale. And I'm going to buy that one. But you know who else wants to buy that one? 20 other people. Up goes the prices. And then sellers are like, oh, spring market's here. I better put my house on the market.
So do you have a lot of inventory that you're planning to bring to market in January, February because of this prediction?
Absolutely. We're meeting with sellers. I met with a seller this morning. Yes, we are planning. And then the big question is, do we go now and go in December or do we wait until January? So literally a conversation I had a few hours ago this morning. So we are debating, well, when people are hanging out with family, and what's to stop them from flipping through and looking at, oh, I kind of like that house. And the gentleman I was speaking with is like, that's how I bought this house, is we were looking around and sure enough, I bought it on Christmas Day. Like,
Yeah.
well, houses do sell on Christmas Day. Not many, but they do.
Well, I've told people this too. Like, it's really odd, but my busiest time always, like, doesn't matter how the market trend was going, was always December, January. So my height of how busy I would get as an agent would always be December, January. I don't know why that is, but I think it's all my clients being like, we're going to start off the new year with a new home. Or like, that's just the
Now,
mentality that they've had.
Is that on the buy side or on the sell side?
On the buy side, a lot of buyers. December, January, probably my most.
Sure.
Are in that little pocket.
They're planning for the new year. They've got the time off. Of course, you're busy, but you're busy and thinking about what you're going to be doing this year. For us, I don't know how it is here, but for us, the number one indicator of for us, the number one factor that we see that increases the January market is divorce.
Okay.
In a small town of Milton, we were the fastest growing town with a decreasing population average age. So our families were young, everybody had young kids, and with that brought a very high divorce rate. I find that January, if couples are deciding to get divorced, they're going to wait through Christmas and then they're going to say, okay, in January, I need to go rent a house or I need to go downsize and buy a house and sell the matrimonial home. That is what starts our spring market every year.
So it's divorce rate. Out of curiosity, like, do you know what percentage of your business is divorce?
I do not, but I have personally been divorced twice. So I do a lot of the divorced clients. I understand it. I know what they're going through. And I've got the logic side of my brain, and that is required when it's such an emotional situation. So no, I don't know what the actual divorce, I guess I could figure that out. How many of our clients, especially at that time of year, but I can look back and say at any given point in January, February, how many of my clients, I would say personal clients, you could easily say 70% of them at least were divorced clients.
Oh my goodness. Okay. It is a big factor when it comes to real estate because, and we did this on the last episode, we talked about cohabitation agreements and what goes into them. And, when you get married, you don't necessarily think about prenups, or you try not to think about prenups. And then when you get into moving in together with your partner, you don't really think about cohabitation agreements, but the worst case scenario can happen, and what happens with matrimonial homes. So it does make a lot of sense. It does increase the real estate market. And what people fail to remember throughout the period of time with the way the interest rates were going is transactions still had to happen because people had needs for transactions to happen. So if you have to go for a divorce, if you don't have, if you have a great interest rate, it doesn't matter. You're going to sell the house. If you have a kid with special needs, it doesn't matter. You're going to move to a school district that can accommodate that kid. So real estate transactions were still happening. It didn't matter what was happening in the exterior factors of interest rates or the economy or the politicians that were getting elected. If you needed to move, you needed to move. So there is transactions still happening. There were transactions happening all through the last little while, and it's forced moves. They have to move.
I find that is who is moving, that is who is transacting in December. People who have to, whether it's a job transfer or a divorce or there are so many reasons why someone has to. I find if you're buying a house in the fall, you're doing it because you want to. If you're buying a house maybe in the spring, you're doing it because you want to. If you're doing it in December, it's because you have a need, like you said, and you have to. Yeah. So sellers are very, very motivated. Buyers are also very motivated. So the question of, do we list our house in December? Well, you might have a lot less showings, but those showings that you do have, they're going to be very motivated buyers.
Yeah, they're serious.
Yeah.
They know what they want. They're looking for a specific thing. One piece of advice that I'd give everyone, if you're going to list in December, salt the driveway.
Please salt the driveway. You are still required to have insurance on the property. You are still required to maintain the property. Yes.
Well,
and shovel.
Yeah.
Shovel. There's nothing like walking to a showing with, deep, deep snow. Yeah. And getting your pants in the dirty. Oh, yes.
I was telling someone the other day, I literally hire someone to go do that to my listings because I'm like, if someone dies before they can get into the house is not selling.
Right.
So please just shovel the
Because you have to
snow.
disclose that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just that. That could have been my buyer.
Right. True. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the real estate market, December, January, always has a little bit of a pickup. I think also because of where you're at in your real estate career too. That's why you're dealing with a lot more divorces because you've gone through the whole stage of like, we're single, we're buying a property. Yep. Oh, I found my partner. Now we're buying a property together. And then the stages of real estate usually go in that order.
Exactly. It's in our career, but also like in my life, I'm that as well. But more so, our town is like that because Milton, we didn't have any growth whatsoever. We were a small town of 20,000 people up until 2001. And that's when they brought the water in from Oakville. And now we have all this city water and they started building. Well, they still haven't stopped. And so a large amount of our population came in 2001 and they are continuing to come in. With that brings young families and then divorces after that. So, yeah.
And what's the average price point in Milton?
Just over $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. Just over $1,036,000 right now.
And do you think with the new rules that are coming into place, that average price point is going to go up?
I think the average price point is going to go up because I think that house prices will be going up in 2025. I honestly think that. I think that the new rules coming in are definitely going to help because the whole $1 million the whole $1 million
threshold.
Thank you. The whole $1 million threshold of being covered under CMHC, if you are over, even if you're at $1,000,001, it still didn't qualify. So having that space, considering our average sale price falls in there, that is going to help a lot of people. The big thing to that is you still need to be able to qualify. This is not a golden ticket here. You still need to be able to qualify for that mortgage, but it really does take your down payment required to buy an average house from $200,000 to $300,000 down to $100,000 for the right property. Yeah, assuming you qualify.
Yeah. So it was really put into place to help people that were high income earners, but maybe came out of school and had a lot of debt that they paid off, so they didn't have the down payment.
Right.
So they knew they're going to have a set fixed income,
Yes.
but the down payment's not there yet. It's going to happen over time. So those were purposely put in for high income earners that don't really have a down payment yet.
Yes, and that's who our buyers are typically in our town and in your city too.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I think it did unlock a door to like people that didn't think they could buy or didn't think they could buy what they wanted yet.
Right.
And now they can, which is why it's a whole new conversation. And the other conversation too is by the time we get to that point after December, if everyone's shopping in that 1.5 now, your price point isn't as advantageous as it was previously. So having people cut off at the million mark and we were qualified for 1.3, great odds. We could go see a house and we had room to be able to be like, we can buy it. No problem. We're going to cut off everyone that was at $1 million before. Now we're like, when do we cut them off? There's no cutoff. They can go up to 1.5. And usually the houses that are entry level go up to 1.5.
Ah, very good. So it's going to be fabulous for your market.
It's going to be an interesting market. What I think we're going to notice is any houses that were floating in and around that 1.5 mark, where they could have maybe gone to 1.6, is actually going to bring them down a bit.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of houses that were in that 1.5 to 1.6-ish price point are now going to end up selling at the 1.5.
Well, to reinforce that, you just have to look at the $1 million mark up until now. We have often found that houses that could have sold for $1,025,000, $1,050,000, a lot of times they needed, the buyers would come. It's like, I can afford it, but I can only afford it to be $999,999. I can't afford that extra dollar. I can't do it. And sellers are like, what do you mean you can't do it? No, seriously, they physically cannot do it. The banks won't let them. And we're going to see that move.
That was also a huge negotiation tactic. Yes. We were like, okay, they've been listed for a little while. They're at $1,050,000, $1,020,000, like 1.1. And we're like, okay, they're sitting. We're just going to call them up and be like, my client can't go above 99999.
Yeah.
Like, help me out. And eventually we would get properties right under the $1 million mark because we would say, CMHC, they're putting less than 20% down. We can only go up to $1 million. Like, would you like the deal or not?
Yep.
Now they're going to say, you can go up to 1.5. Does your client qualify up to that?
Yes.
That's going to be the new conversation.
That's right. And it's going to be your 1.5 plus that are going to be affected.
100%.
Yeah.
So when we're talking numbers in 1.5, we're talking about 1.5 million, just to like dumb it down for everyone. The new policies that have come into effect mean that if previously you could only go up to $1 million with less than 20% down, if you now qualify, you can go up to 1.5 with less than 20% down. There is certain things that are, like it's not for everyone. You still have to qualify for it, but it will allow more people to buy more real estate. So bigger properties in the long term.
I agree. I think it's a great program for many, many people in our areas. Yeah.
Definitely, because it affects our areas.
Sure.
Probably.
Halifax, they don't care. It's
No.
not going to affect them. But for us, it's a good one that is going to affect us. Now, there's a lot of other policies that they brought out that probably won't affect us at all. But this one is a good one.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I think that will also play a factor in why the condo market is also semi-slow. Because people previously that could only go up to $1 million, they were settling on, okay, then we'll just get a starter condo first. Now,
that makes sense. Yes, I think you're right.
now I think those bigger condos will start to suffer a little bit, even like a little bit more.
Right.
To the point where they're like, well, we can buy this condo or we can go buy a house.
Sure.
And maybe, yes, we put less than 20% down and get the house, but we're in a house.
Because they're not defaulting to the condo because they have no other choice.
Exactly.
That's going to hurt the condos even more. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all the condo owners right now.
Well, I've been saying this for the last few weeks. I don't believe condos are going to rebound until 2026, 2027.
Right. So it's a long game. As long as you know that going in. Like I have a couple of condos and I bought them knowing that it is a long game for this with a purpose. It is not a short, let's flip it and make money. That's not happening.
Out of curiosity, because you mentioned you have a couple condos.
Yeah.
What's your preference when you go to buy? Like, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for a 2-bedroom, typically, and I am looking for exposure of what I'm looking at, sun exposure, because I can't tell you how many I've been in, and it's so hot. And then the layout. If it's a 1-bedroom plus a den, can I convert that into a bedroom to keep the cost down? Or if it's a 2-bedroom plus a den, can it be converted? So specific layout, ease of converting for different types of lifestyles.
And are most of the condos in Milton?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so all your real estate portfolios in Milton.
Yes, sure.
Okay. And then in terms of the condos, I'm assuming you're using them as rentals.
Yes.
Do they cash flow in Milton?
No.
Okay. That's the hot question.
Yes.
Where do condos cash flow?
Not here.
No.
Not in
Also
Milton.
not in Toronto.
Fair. Yes.
Yeah. So you are putting 35 to 45% down
Exactly.
minimum.
Yes.
If you want your condo to be cash flow neutral.
Yes.
To cash flow positive.
That's right.
What I've been trying to steer all my clients into, and I think it's semi-working now, multiplexes.
That's what we've been doing the last couple of years. We did one last year, one the year before, is I have a specific model of a house that I know is being built in a specific area in Milton that I like. And we take that and divide it in right here. I know exactly where it is, which makes a perfect upper unit, a perfect lower unit. We go through the permit process to get the legal basement apartment is what it's called. And it's worked really well. And that cash flows.
Yeah. And are those 2 units or 3 units? Like what are you?
2. So it's one house that we convert into 2 units. Now we are still under the landlord and tenant board when we are dealing that there are no shared accommodations. But I think that is a really exciting opportunity is the shared accommodations side of things in renovating a house to have shared accommodations to avoid the landlord and tenant board.
Yeah, we love them. If you have your screen on, you can fully see both me and Amy's eyes roll simultaneously. So what I find in Toronto, the 2 units actually doesn't cash flow, 3 units cash flow. So the key to buying multiplex units in the city is looking for 3 units.
Tell me about what that layout would look like.
So
we don't have that.
No problem. So basement is 1 unit, main floor is 1 unit, and second and third floor is 1 unit.
Okay. Yes.
And they have a really good return.
Is it a split level? Or is it a straight up 2-story?
Straight. Well, it's kind of split, or it could be 2-story depending on the way that it's configured the house.
Okay.
But to give you some context, like I have a multi-unit next to my house. I'm going to show you around.
Okay.
We brought Amy all the way from Milton to Toronto today. We're going to give her a tour of the city afterwards.
Perfect.
But the basement has 2 bed, 2 bath, gets $2,300 to $2,400 a month. I have to check the number because mine also gets one gets 23, one gets 24.
Okay.
The main level gets $3,900 a month.
Okay.
2 bed, 2 bath, but only on the main level. And the third floor gets $5,800 a month. Yep. Amy's eyes just opened up.
Wowza.
Yeah. And that unit is 3 bedrooms, 2 bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
No storage. What do you do for parking? I guess you don't.
I don't
need
even
parking.
rent with parking.
My gosh.
My tenants are going to watch this and be like, what is happening? You know, my parking is all
Okay.
staging.
Okay. So being in the town that I'm in, parking is a requirement because everyone needs a car.
So they're going to ask me for street permit parking.
Okay.
I write them a little letter that says their unit does not come with parking because I don't lease it with parking.
Yes.
And then they get street permit parking.
And then that means they can just park
They can park on the street.
For whenever.
For
That's
$25
why
a month.
When I come to the city and
You have nowhere to park. It's my fault, Amy. I'm sorry.
It's all your fault. All this street parking is meaning your visitors don't have anywhere to park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where they're parking.
Okay.
So, and the reason why I primarily buy triplex units in the city is I also want laneway house potential. So all of my parkings for all the houses have laneway parking. So you pull into the lane and you can actually park. But in the future, when they stop giving me mortgages, I can start building.
So this laneway parking, and is it exclusive?
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it would be a shared lane.
It's a shared lane.
It's a shared lane, but our parking is our parking.
And you're not in the way of anybody else when you park.
No.
Great. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it's very creative and it's a way for younger people to get into the housing market,
Yeah.
not pay an obscene amount in mortgages and payments per month, but also get all the benefits of living in a house.
Right.
So why wouldn't you buy a multiplex, which is, by the way, cheaper than buying a single family home, and it could be the exact same size as a single family home, because multiplexes are capped at when does it stop making sense for the investor?
Yes.
And after that number, no one's looking at it.
So the multiplexes that you see now, are they already finished and available for sale?
Yeah.
Oh, is that a big market that you have?
It's not that it's a big market because, like I said, it's cheaper to buy multiplexes than it is to buy a single family home.
Yeah.
Single family home is more of an emotional buy.
Yeah.
So those ones are a really big market.
Yeah.
But if you can sacrifice, especially when you're younger, and live in a house that also has tenants, you'll be better off long term.
Totally.
Because if your mortgage payments, let's say hypothetically for a house were $6,000 a month, but your tenants were paying the majority of that, how much more could you save? If you could save a lot more money, how quickly can you make your next move in real estate? When the market goes up in value, can you refinance that property, pull out the money, move into your next home, use that house as a full-on investment property where you can write off the interest on it,
Yep.
and move that money into your primary residence? Like, there is a way for you to make a lot of money in the city and a way for you to get your foot in real estate, but it requires a little bit of sacrifice. And a little bit of sacrifice is be okay with sharing a house.
But at this point, when you're living in the city, your house values are insanely high. You really have no other choice. If you are young and you want to get in, you have to make those sacrifices. If not, then you're just going to rent.
Yeah, but that's the conversation I have on a daily basis is people are young and they're like, well, I can't buy the thing that I want to buy, so I should not buy. How many, do you hear that on a daily basis?
Yes, it is the mentality of the entitlement side of things. So if we are a little less entitled and a little more sacrificial with the long game in mind, you're going to be in a way better position.
Yeah. And it's all about not being house poor. Like, people always complain about oh, I'm going to be house poor if I buy this. Well, you're not going to be house poor if you buy a house with tenants.
Yeah.
Because then, it helps. Everything helps. But I get people not wanting to share accommodations. You have to view it like you bought a condo unit. So instead of buying one house, you bought 3 condos and you live in one. Yeah. That's how you have to view it.
Yeah.
And if you can get around that, you'll be much better off in the future because it will unlock money that you didn't know existed.
And you're apt to have better tenant quality when they know that the owner lives on the property.
I was like, I would say so, but I vet very thoroughly.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm a very thorough vetter, but I do think tenants get a bad rep, especially in the city. Not all tenants are shitty.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Agreed.
But you only ever hear the bad stuff.
Sure.
It's the same with any industry.
Yeah.
Like, real estate agents get a bad name too, but you'll only ever hear the shitty things real estate agents do. You'll never hear the good things they do.
Right.
So same thing with tenants. You'll only ever hear the small group that is creating a lot of problems for landlords as opposed to the general public.
Yeah.
But because of that small group, it also makes it very hard for tenants that just need to be given a shot to get a place.
I agree with that very much.
So once again, it's Elena Serditas, and I'm with Amy Flowers. And today we talked all things real estate, Milton, Toronto, the works. If you like content like this, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. I can't wait to catch you next week.